Yo, and welcome to the EPM show. I'm Blake Bozarth, and this is all things enterprise performance management, where we do our best to give you an unfair career advantage. Today, our guest on the show is Jonathan Morgan. He's from Palo Alto Networks. They are the name in cybersecurity, public company, about 12,000 employees. Jonathan's going to help tell the story of how they went from kind of functional, more siloed use cases of Anaplan as a planning tool to more of a widespread enterprise approach and adoption, and truly embracing that concept of connected planning. They're now standing up an enterprise COE. He's also talking about the tool and some new use cases they're rolling out, including supply and demand planning using the optimizer model in Anaplan. So some really cool stuff that they're doing at Palo Alto, and he has some great nuggets to share from a career perspective as well when it comes to raising your hand and looking for and proactively taking opportunities to do cross-functional projects. Part of the beauty of being in this space of EPM is that you can connect dots. Even as an EPM professional model builder, you can connect dots that others cannot, and you can bring together departments, teams that used to be siloed, and it's a massive opportunity for you in helping drive connected planning, but also getting a leg up in your career, meeting new people, getting exposed to new areas. It's one of the built-in advantages from a career perspective of being in this space. Jonathan lays that out really well, and I think you're going to enjoy this episode. He also has some fun BHAG at the end of this that I think you'll appreciate as well. Without further ado, let's jump into the show. We got Jonathan Morgan in the house today from Palo Alto. Jonathan, good to have you on here. So we want to hit you with our patented question, Jonathan, and that is, we give you a 60-second stopwatch. Just tell us about you and your career. What do we need to know?
Pretty much all of my career, I've been in planning organizations. I was running the planning organization at Palo Alto Networks for about 10 years. Supply planning, demand planning, S&OP, spares parts planning, inventory management. And now I'm wrapping up a COE in our worldwide ops team to go be more strategic and long-range focused.
Okay, you are too efficient. It's a good thing. Tell us some more about the personal side, man. Like, what do you like to do for fun? Where you living? That kind of stuff.
So I recently relocated to Florida near Cocoa Beach.
Nice.
I spent most of my life living in the Mountain West, growing up in New Mexico, lived in Colorado and went to school in Colorado for about 18 years. Then I lived in California for about 12 years in Northern California. So I started with Palo Alto Networks. So I like running, biking, mountain biking, road biking. I got a paddleboard recently, so I plan on cruising around the rivers and over the next few months, years. I like trying local breweries. So
good stuff. Hey, I have to ask, some of the listeners know this already, but I'm a huge pickleball fan. Have you discovered pickleball yet since you moved to Florida?
There's actually a court at my complex. So I've been out played one-on-one a few times, and I started playing doubles. Yeah, it's a good time.
Good deal.
So am I seeing a Jonathan and Blake pickleball match? Is that what I'm seeing?
We can be teammates. I don't do singles. I'm too old for that. So I have to do doubles. The court's too big for me.
I played 1 versus 2. The last match I played, like, it was an older guy in my complex and his grandson who's in college, and he was learning the game. So I played the 1 just running across the court. That was a good workout.
That's respect right there.
I got to say, I'm the only one on the call who has not caught the pickleball fever yet, but I'm going down to Florida to hang out with Blake in a couple weeks. I'm sure we're going to get into
on the
it
agenda
a little bit.
Actually, every meeting is going to be on the pickleball court, just so you know. So brace yourself.
There we go. One of the things that we've connected on, just as we've talked about Anaplan and Palo Alto Networks journey with Anaplan, something that's come up that you're super passionate about is having a cross-functional roadmap and a strategy to how you're going to leverage Anaplan across an entire enterprise. Palo Alto, obviously big organization. There's all types of use cases that could be in place with Anaplans. Tell me a little bit about the journey Palo Alto Networks has been on with Anaplan and what that cross-functional roadmap has looked like over the long haul for y'all.
So the journey, we started out where we needed to replace an existing tool that was just overly complex for our business. We thought we'd have this big footprint expansion into multiple countries and regions, and it didn't really come to be. We actually retracted our footprint a little bit. And so we decided we would go at the end of that contract. We wanted to look for another set of tools that was more fit to our business, that would also be more scalable as the business was changing, because it wasn't very clear where we were going to go. So we evaluated quite a few tools, ranked them on criteria such as user friendliness, cost, complexity. We were also under a bit of a time crunch. The decision to move away from the old tool came pretty late in our budgeting cycle. So we ended up picking Anaplan. So then we ended up working with them and a consulting partner, and we got our implementation done in around 10 weeks. It was helped by the fact that our sales ops team had been using Anaplan for about 5 years at that point for their territory and quota planning. So we had the data hub built. We had some of the data that we would use, like from Salesforce.com, already piped into the data hub, and the integrations and data mapping that we had for our legacy tool already exist. So IT was pretty quickly able to move those over to the data hub and then get those into Anaplan to wrap us up pretty quick. And that was just to get our supply and demand planning basic functionality that we had in the other tool up and running to keep the business going.
You guys had some good foundation there when you were getting started. Tell us more about the use cases that you've been involved with. What does that look like? And then where else has it kind of started to spread across the enterprise there?
So I'm within supply chain, and I'm currently within the COE that I'm standing up now. I own Anaplan from the business aspect of things, not necessarily the technical. So everything we've built out has really come from my direction. And we start off with supply planning. That was our core process that we had to move over from the legacy tool just to keep that running and feeding supply plans into our contract manufacturing partners. But pretty quickly, we moved into ramping up S&OP, demand planning. We built out quarter end capacity planning, sales pipeline close rates for various opportunities at dollar level, both test and manufacturing capacity planning. And more recently, we went live with a supply demand allocation optimizer using the optimizer model within Anaplan. And we're about to go live, hopefully by the end of this month, with an order promising process that's based on that optimization model with some tweaks. So we've had a lot of new models get built out and a lot of new ROI added to the business.
One of the things that I think I'm picking up on here with y'all's journey in Anaplan is that it's moved relatively quickly. 10-week ramp up time. You've built models pretty quickly. Effectively sounds like it's been relatively organic in terms of its expansion. What are maybe some of the obstacles that have come up as a result of the way that's developed? And maybe talk a little bit about, how building out a more robust 3 to 5 year roadmap for Anaplan could have been helpful.
I'd say within operations, there haven't been many roadblocks. The user adoption has been good. The technical ramp up has been good. It's really the cross-functional and treating it more as an enterprise tool is where the roadblocks came in. Finance wasn't using Anaplan. They were dabbling on it a couple of years ago. Now they're getting more engaged. And sales ops is really running it within their org. We were running within our org, and they weren't really connected. So there wasn't such a thing as an enterprise view or cross-functional roadmaps. Resources, budgeting, and actually getting that collaboration and connected planning aspect of Anaplan that's so known for, getting the leverage out of that to get true enterprise level value was our biggest challenge. So getting a enterprise COE, for example, was the challenge. We tried to get it up and running when we went live, but couldn't get a lot of buy-in or traction across the other parts of the org because they were just very heads down on what they want to go do in their organizations. Now with a broader focus and our C-level and exec team more focused on the connected planning concept, that's really helping push it. So it took a little while, but now I think we're seeing the value across the company and starting to think about it more cohesively.
What did it look like from a talent perspective, getting people upskilled in the platform? And did you already have people with experience in the past with Anaplan, or how did you guys actually start to upskill and start to leverage this specific EPM platform?
That was actually one of the best parts of Anaplan is from a technical standpoint, start there. We had nobody outside of the one person in sales ops that had been maintaining the tool for them for like that 5 years or so. The two folks we had in-house, well, one at the time was familiar with our legacy tool. He had no Anaplan experience. He got ramped up and is now a certified model builder just based on experience following along with the contractors, kind of shadowing them, as well as taking the online courses. And I've got one analytics manager in my team now in the COE who was ramped up from zero. He had no tool experience at all other than some analytics tools. He was very proficient in Excel and writing scripts, but he was able to go get a certified model builder license as well. He's about to go and get his certified solutions architect license from Anaplan, all through online and hands-on experience. From a technical standpoint, we've been able to ramp people up quickly and easily without massive cost or going off and hiring very niche IT talent. There's some out there, but we were pretty lucky that we had people that could ramp up. From a user standpoint, there was no real specific training. People were using a tool. They were used to a tool. This one, the user interface, it's a lot more flexible, so you can set reporting up and views so that they're a lot more familiar with it, and it can be customized a lot easier to fit what they want to see, where they want to see it. So we didn't really see challenges there. It actually went the other way, where we had people ramping up faster and people started asking for things faster than we can deliver them. And our pipeline got pretty full early on, and now we're still have a long list of enhancements and modifications to go after.
It's always a good sign when you have your customers, if you will, asking for more, right? So I want to hear more about from on the talent side, the career perspective. You guys have been in this for a few years. What advice would you have for people who are looking to grow in this career in EPM, maybe specifically with whatever platform they're using for, but what advice would you have and what successes have you seen maybe in your network?
So in my experience, it's been key to be very open about your career goals with your team and your management, and also others in functional areas where you might want to learn and even engage in. Looking for activities to engage and lead cross-functional projects is something I've seen successful and I've used myself. You can both learn from that, the other areas and functional areas, but also showcase your knowledge and your skill set to other folks that might not see it on a day-to-day basis. If it's possible within the company, taking job rotations to try out other parts of the org and just add to your learning, moving to teams that can just add to your experience. Obviously, changing jobs can help with that as well, if it's something that is available to you. And networking online through LinkedIn and those types of things, all the different conferences or finding meetup groups of like-minded individuals, or expanding and going to meet people that are in other parts of the business that might have related things that you want to go try. There's a plethora of things. What's your comfort level? Breaking out of your comfort level sometimes to go be more social if you're more of an introvert, or leveraging your extrovert talents.
That's one of the beauties of just Anaplan broadly as an ecosystem, and then also being at a customer. I know we've heard that from past guests as well. It's a great tool. When you're a model builder, you're in a COE, you can get exposure to all different types of areas within the company or a large enterprise like Palo Alto. You're working sales, working across HR, finance, obviously. So that's just really good insights. And I love the simple yet effective point of raise your hand. Raise your hand, ask for more opportunities in different places, areas where you're not super experienced, and getting outside of your comfort zone. That's really good. And putting yourself out there within the ecosystem is critically important too. And that's the beauty of Anaplan, because you can get onto the forums and posts and ask questions and engage.
So you talked about the kind of cross-functional roadmap and how the whole idea behind Anaplan and the vision for EPM at large these days is connected planning. Talk to us, Jonathan, about if someone sees this and maybe you have been that person and you're like, hey, we need to have more of an enterprise approach to this instead of kind of a more myopic, functional kind of piece by piece approach. How can you influence up that chain of command? How can you actually drive more of that connected planning vision and help influence the C-suite even?
The way I look at it is that Anaplan should really be treated more as an enterprise system versus what we start off with is more a very function-specific planning tool, which everybody does some planning, but sometimes the idea of planning gets kind of pigeonholed as this team that's a planning team, but that's where it starts. So if you can start early or do that kind of internal marketing to treat it as an enterprise tool and connect it to some of the core enterprise-wide processes, especially if you're smaller and you have some flexibility. Once you're larger, it can be a little bit more of a challenge because you're then breaking into other legacy systems. But finding those key processes that the C-suite might be interested in, so like an order to cash process, how can you go implement Anaplan to help support that process or give insights there and help decision-making, your scenario planning, connecting a sales activity and a pipeline activity to a supply chain activity. Get some of those basic connections down and start leveling up from there to really show the visibility is what I've seen start being more effective. And that helps build that cross-functional engagement. So the more people you have using it, the more by default it becomes an enterprise effort.
That's really good. Basically, be proactive with your use cases and then look for that cross-functional stuff, because that's what kind of forces the issue. It's like, oh, when you bring exposure to and you start connecting different parts of the enterprise with the relevant use cases, that's what gives you more and more exposure. So that's really good. Hopefully you have it from the top down from the beginning, but if you don't, that's a way that an EPM professional, no matter where you are in the organization, can actually help influence and drive up the chain of command this premise of connected planning.
And you can really partner with IT to help push that as well, but you don't need a massive IT department behind you. Like I said, you can train up pretty well. If you know Excel a little bit and can build things in Excel, you can go get some model building training and try and drive that connection on the technical side as well to build the bridge on both sides.
Yeah, that's a great point on the ownership aspect of it. I'm a big proponent of self-education in the career. So if you want to find opportunities to influence the C-suite, then learn how to build models and build them really effectively and drive that kind of value.
It's good stuff. We have another personal question for you, Jonathan, before we let you go. And that is, would you happen to have any sort of BHAG, personal to you, big, hairy, audacious goal that you're going after these days?
Absolutely. Outside of work, I'd say part of it is I want to retire before 50.
Hey,
That'd be a nice one. I'd say that's probably not unique to me. But I really want to go and get those kind of camping adventure vans, those conversion type things, and kind of cruise around the country, biking, running, hiking, kayaking, paddleboarding, and hitting up local breweries and just exploring the country a bit. That'd be pretty fun.
boom.
That sounds like a blast. I would love
Yeah.
that.
That's a great BHAG, man. Love that. Well, hey, this has been a blast, Jonathan. Thanks so much for being on the show. If people want to find you, where is the best place to look you up?
And LinkedIn is the easy one. Jonathan Morgan. There's a few of us out there. So using Palo Alto Networks or Colorado State University, where I went to school, is kind of filters to help get there. But that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being a part of the show.
Thanks,
Thanks for having me on. It was great talking to you guys.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Wherever you're consuming this, if it's YouTube, if it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed. We have a lot more amazing guests on the way, a lot more great content. We're doing our best to bring you value and have fun while we do it. We really want this to be a career advantage, listening to this show, and we want you to enjoy it. So it means a lot. Make sure you're subscribed for what's to come. And also, if you're up for it, it would mean a lot if you leave us a like, a comment, a rating, a review, whatever platform you're on. That really helps, and it gets us fired up when we see those. So I appreciate you guys. Find us on LinkedIn. I'm Blake Bozarth, my co-host Chad Pyke with a Y. Would love to connect with you there. Have an awesome day. See you next time. Peace.